Good morning, disciples. It is great to be with you in a virtual way and to see so many familiar faces, alums and friends, partners in this ministry in the preparation of leaders for the church. My name is David Vasquez Levy, and I have the pleasure of serving as president at Pacific School of Religion, your seminary on Holy Hill right here in Northern California. We are delighted to be with you today and echo just the words of encouragement and hope that have been shared by leaders of the disciples communities of Chapman University, and add to that my greeting and love. My gratitude to Regional Minister Bynum for her partnership as we entered into this time of pandemic. We gathered together for a phenomenal webinar with our denominational partners leaders, and that was just a moment of a lot of courage as the faithful leaders of our denominations really saw ahead to this time of challenge, also as your congregations have, with a sense of hope and possibility. So I just want to take a moment to share, I'll share my screen here with just wanting to share a few reflections as we start in greetings on behalf of PSR. As we went into this time of pandemic, Reverend Ann Jefferson, our campus pastor and director of community life, reflected on the fact that we were doing our work like John of Patmos. All of a sudden, we are having to write sermons that need to be written out and sent off to the church, to the 7 churches. And so John of Patmos the church has a long history of knowing how to stand sometimes behind closed doors when we are afraid, to break through those doors of fear, to be able to find ways to stay connected to one another. John of Patmos is also, who many of you know, is attributed as the writer of the book of Revelation, the final book in the Hebrew, in our Bible. As he wrote, he is speaking to the oftentimes viewed as the end times, the apocalyptic times. It certainly has felt that way for those of us in Northern California in the last several weeks. What people call a nuclear winter. Just a couple of weeks ago, when we woke up to a red sky and never saw the light of day throughout the whole day, was a clear reminder, as others have already highlighted, of this moment in which we have this combining forces of pandemic, of poverty, of protest, of racism that we are seeking to confront. But the church knows how to stand in times of such difficulty. What's interesting to me is that I have been noticing, as many of you probably have, even prior to the pandemic, the increased use of the word apocalyptic. I'm originally from Guatemala, and the book of Revelations, the book of John Patmos writing to the church, is actually called Apocalyptic. So because of the word revelation, which is what's behind the word apocalyptic. So I've noted that many people in the news, from government, from companies, continue to refer to this moment, whether it's the pandemic or the environmental crisis we are facing, as an apocalyptic time. Indeed, it is. But what's important for those of us who call ourselves disciples is that we understand that for God, apocalyptic is not only about the end times, it is always about a new beginning. So the word apocalyptic means revelation. Indeed, much has been revealed by this moment of the pandemic and other forces. The brokenness in our society, the inequalities of racism the curtain has been pulled, and we have been able to see that. So in that sense, this is indeed an apocalyptic time that has highlighted that brokenness. But as Christians, those of us who call ourselves disciples understand as well that apocalyptic is about what else is being revealed. What is God up to as one epoch comes to an end and a new one begins? And what is being revealed is the strength of our communities and of our people. What's being revealed is what Martin Luther King said long ago, that we are inextricably tied one to another, that we are part of a single garment of destiny, that no matter how many walls we build, how much we advance or think of ourselves as isolated, the reality is that we are one. And so the calling of the disciples of your work in Northern California and throughout the church is critical, to call a fragmented world to unity, to be reminded that we are connected. The dying words of George Floyd, "I can't breathe," spoke so deeply, not only to his dying breath, but to the reality of how racism makes it impossible for people to breathe and thrive. His words have become so catalytic for all of us because they reflect our inability of our planet and of ourselves to breathe in the middle of the implications of carbon in our environment, because of the inequalities that make it difficult to breathe. So what's being revealed is this moment is that this call to breathe, this demand for justice, is for the first time clearly a global movement, one that has taken these words, these powerful words that remind us that as Christians, we understand that the gift of the divine is given to us at birth with breath. It is the very breath of God that lives in us that has been taken from Breonna Taylor, from George Floyd, and from so many whose names must be spoken. But as a people who call ourselves disciples, we see this apocalyptic time not only with fear and dread, but with possibility, because we are able to also see what is being revealed about God's doing in our world. At your seminary on Holy Hill, at Pacific School of Religion, we are seeking to do this work through the people, the programs, and the place at PSR that have all been transformed. As we begin this semester, like all of you, figuring out what it means to be church and community in a new age and in a new way, we have welcomed the most diverse incoming class we have ever had. 67% of our incoming class are people of color. We are seeing a significant shift in strength and growth in those who are seeking to respond to a call to ministry in the church, in the society, in the work, and know that this moment requires us to ask deep questions about what is truly essential and how we transform the world. We are seeing this transformation happen as well in our programs that are adapting to serve the church, not just today, but into the future. Our stackable curriculum allows us to educate students at different ways for different careers, both within the church and to do bivocational ministry, to be prepared with courses in Hebrew Bible and New Testament so they have a great foundation in their own denominational tradition as well, but also with courses that we have developed like design thinking for social change or igniting vibrant ministries that help students think about how to finance their ministry and their future. Our work is being shaped by theological education for leadership, making this theological education available to you in your congregations online, a program we have been running already for 30 years. And so we have the experience to be able to do that. And then we are developing new programs like our Change Now podcast that brings people from various diverse backgrounds and communities to speak to how we make change that comes from the wisdom of our communities, from the wisdom of our traditions. And finally, the place at PSR, a place I hope to welcome you to soon again. The campus, as was shared by others, ours as well, has been closed to regular operations, but we are alive and well and vibrant in our work. But the place continues to be reshaped at PSR as a place of life and of ministry and of work. Our campus our courses are all online for this fall, which has allowed us to reach a much broader audience, but we will return to campus. Our hope is in the spring. But also on campus, we continue to really host a vibrant community of students. And we are welcoming Berkeley Fung Institute of Engineering to our campus after this year when we are able to return to do projects on designing a better future through both the work of engineering and faith-rooted activism. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be in partnership with you. And my gratitude in particular to our many alumni who serve within congregations and ministries in the church. And we are grateful for your work and your partnership.